In this video, we're going to see how we can create a Webflow app using cursorai and some best practices that I'll be walking you throughout this tutorial. This tutorial is going to be long, so we're going to split it into two parts, and this is part one, so stay tuned on part two, which will be uploaded after. Are you guys ready? Let's jump into it. Building a Webflow app used to be something that's quite hard. It was exclusive for big agencies or very skilled developers, people like WebBay. But today, thanks to all the AI tools out there, we can easily spin one out in one afternoon. The app we're going to create is an app that gives you these preset client-first layouts that you can click and have them directly added to your canvas. This gives you an ease of use to the client-first framework. You can quickly add layouts, containers, or a two layout split or something like that directly through this app. Now, this is a very simple use case. However, you can take this and build on top of it, or learn the methodology and create use cases for your own pain points. And if you guys do happen to create some stuff, I would love to hear from you. So let's get started. To get started building a Webflow app, we need to make sure that we understand how the Webflow Docs work. So there are two types of apps. So first of all, let's go to the Webflow developers page. So this is the developers page. You go to developers.webflow.com and you get to this page. You can click on start building and then you go to build an app. Again, now there are three types of Webflow apps that you can build. One is data client, designer extension, and hybrid apps. Now the names kind of give them away. So the data clients are basically whatever handles CMS or anything that relates to the data or something that's external to the Webflow project. The designer extension is basically something that you can use within your designer to help you style, make layouts, do more in the designer itself. It's a designer extension basically. And the hybrid apps are basically both. So you can use a little bit of data, a little bit of designer extension to perform a task. And these are one of, let's say, the most commonly used or the most used one. And hybrid apps can be the most on demand because they offer the full solution to complex problems. So they can be great to build. However, in this video, because it's a beginner video, we're going to do a designer extension, and that's all that we're going to build with. So we can click on designer extension. Here it takes you to this page. So it explains to you what is a designer extension, how it works, and all that. So you can go through this just to learn more about designer extension. However, once you're done, you can click on create your first designer extension. So we can go here. And now we can follow these steps to install this on our device. Now what we also need is Cursor. So I'm going to be using Cursor to do this. So we can open Cursor. You can download it on your desktop. And then once you have it, you can open it. I created this yesterday, but let's create one from scratch. So in my desktop file, I'm going to create a new folder. We're going to call this CF layouts. And this will be my extension basically. So I added this. Now, as you can see, I have an empty folder. I have the cursor platform open. I'm going to open the terminal by clicking this, and it opens this down terminal, and I have the chat on the right. So I'm ready to start prompting. Now, first thing, we need to install the Webflow settings or the Webflow environment. So once we go to the Webflow page, we can see the first command is this one. So I'm going to copy paste this one into my terminal. I'll click enter, and I'll start downloading some files, installing them. And then next I need to give it this prompt. And here I will basically need to name my extension. In my case, I'm just going to paste this here so I can start naming it. In my case, we're going to call it CF layouts. And then we're going to copy this command, go back to our cursor. This is done. Now we can paste in the next one, and it's going to install it. And what would you like to name your extension? CF layouts, yes. Which project template would you like to use? The React, because we chose a React. And now it's installed. Now we go to it, cd CF layouts, and we named them both CF layouts, so it might be a bit confusing, but you get the point. Now once we're here, we can type npm install, and that's the last command that Webflow asks you to do. Once you type and send npm install, you can see that the files are now fully downloaded. Everything that you need to start the app is right there. So you have your index file, your CSS file, your index tsx file, which is basically, this is the app. This is what we're going to be using to make our app, to power our app. And then you have the config files, which you can also explore and configure. Okay, so now that is done, you can see that here it gives you the structure. Well, your app should look similar to this structure. However, some stuff that are here are a bit different than what you would see on Cursor, and probably it's because some stuff got outdated and needs to be updated on this page. However, everything is set up the same. You still have the app. These are the files that you need, and this is the index.tsx file that we need to work with. Now, what's already there is an hello world type of an example app that is given to you by default, and we can check it out. Let's check it out. So the next step to do anyways is to install the app or create an app on our Webflow workspace so that we can use this creation to test out whatever we do in Cursor. So let's demonstrate how that is done. So you can go to your Webflow workspace, and then you go to apps and integration, and you click on develop. And here you can click on create a new app, and here we name our app CF layouts, and this app video preset don't first layouts for quick builds. All right, and then we can upload an icon. So I have this random icon that I downloaded from a stock image provided, and we add the icon. Next, app homepage URL. So we don't have a URL yet, so I'm just gonna go to webflow.com. Oh, there it is, webflow.com. I'm not gonna restrict this app, and I'm gonna make it as a designer extension, so this is turned on and everything else looks great. Now we can click continue. We can create the app. So now it created it. Now again, I had one done yesterday, so I'm just gonna delete this one. Okay, so we have CF layouts. And this is the app that we're going to use. Now let's install this app on some websites so we can see it. So I'm just going to install it on my entire workspace so I can access it from any site. And then let's go to this site, for example, just to see if it's there. Now when I'm on this site, I can go to apps, and then it's going to appear as the first app because I just installed it. And then you can see if you click on it, you get this display where you can have a launch and development app, and you have the development URL. Now this is by default. It's going to be set to 1337. If your device is set to something else, then make sure to synchronize this local host with whatever server you're using, and we're going to see that as well. Yeah, so let's see that. Okay, so we have localhost 1337. Again, this is the default, should be working fine, but if it's different, you just need to be aware of that. Now if we go to Cursor, what we can do is npm run dev. We run this in the terminal, and this will run our app on the server so that we can use it and see it on Webflow. So as you can see here, if you scroll a little bit up, it says serving your extension at localhost 1337, and this is the same one that is written here. So this way these are synchronized, and now it's going to work. So if I click launch development app, you can see I have this little app that got created. Welcome to my React app. It adds text, I think. So if I click add text, just changes text to hello world. So that's great, and that's, I think, about it. There is not much to this app other than this. So now that we have the app, we can start building our own. And what we want is an app that gives us these layouts from client first. I also want the app to be a bit bigger or different in size. And here where my knowledge of the Webflow Docs comes into play. So if I go back to where it says build an app, I can toggle here and I can go to designer API. This is the one I'm going to use. And then here I have all the, let's say, functions or methods that I can use to do different tasks. For example, get the collection name or set the variable collection name and so on. And in my case, I want to do the app modes, and we can look for, actually, I need the app structure, app settings, and you can see comfortable, default, comfortable, large. I'm going to do comfortable. So we're going to resize our app to be comfortable. And if we go to the settings, we go to Webflow JSON, we see here there's a size. I mean, if we say comfortable, save this. The problem is we're going to have to close the server and then run it again, npm. And then if we go back to big builds, refresh, actually, let's close it and open it again. You see it's now bigger in size, which is great. I can make it even bigger and use the large size. And again, I'll have to, I'll have to shut down the server and then run it again, npm run dev. And that's when I see the changes that have been done. So if I run this now, it's much bigger, which is great. However, I do want it uncomfortable because it's my favorite size for now. So let's use comfortable. npm run dev. If I go back, refresh, actually close, open the app again. Oh, what happened here is I did the whole thing, but I didn't save. As you can see, I have this dot. It's because I didn't save. So now when I save, close this, npm run dev again. Now it's gonna apply because now it's saved. If I go open it here, it applies correctly. And this is what I want. Okay, so now this is the setup. This is how you set up the environment to start building your Webflow app. Now we're gonna start building the Webflow app. Now before starting to prompt, we can go to cursor. We can see, okay, so now we have all the files, everything is ready. We know we need to update in the index.tsx file. However, this is done by the AI itself, by the agent mode. Now that we have cursor, we're gonna select agent mode. We're gonna select the model that we wanna use. Now, up until now, Cloud4 Sonnet is really good. GPT-5 is also good. If you have the max model, you can use 4.1, which is even better. However, I don't have the max, I just have the pro version of cursor. So I have Cloud4 Sonnet and I have GPT-5, so we can use those. And then I can add content to the AI to reference. So for example, we add the active tab. So this is wherever I'm active. This page, I want to add this entire page. So I can add files and folders and I can click on index tsx. Or actually I can just go and click on the entire CF layout folder. I can also add something else, which is the docs, the Webflow LLM docs. And you can get these from Webflow itself. So if you go to the Webflow website, I believe it's AI tools, Webflow. I'll leave this link in the description. So if you go to this site and you scroll down, you're going to see that they have this developers.webflow.com/llms.txt. So if you go to this link, you're going to see that it's a markdown version of whatever is in the Webflow docs. It has links, references, sources, so that the AI can know where to go if it needs something. This document is great. It's not the best thing ever, but it's really, really helpful when it comes to working with Webflow specific rules or specific setups. Now that I have these three ready, I can start prompting. Now this is where our vibe coding session starts. Now I've been preparing a prompt and I've been iterating on it with ChatGPT. So let's see how good this prompt is. So this is a designer extension example app. So we are explaining the folder. Create an app that lets users insert 10 preset layout into the canvas. Great. For example, page wrapper section, as per client first, names. Avoid duplicate wrappers, avoid adding class twice, provide a minimal UI with a drop down to choose the preset, insert, keep the code in the default starter structure and use TypeScript where available. Yeah, so I can paste in this prompt. Now if this prompt works and I one-shot this, I'll leave this prompt in the description. Otherwise, you can just copy it from the video. So let's see how this works out. Now remember, for us to understand how this works, we really need to understand the Webflow API, the Webflow Designer extension, the possibilities that we have within Webflow. By the way, I really like this new feature from Cursor where it does its own to-do lists and it goes and does them one by one. Really, really agentic mode, very, very useful, saves a lot of time, and it does a lot. Actually, it does quite a lot of things. So we'll leave this prompt or build and we'll fast forward this bit. All right, so the first prompt finished. Let's see what it created for us. So we're gonna accept the changes that it made. It gives you a summary of what it did, so you can go through this. But let's see it visually. Let's go on the website. First, let's reset the server. So you turn it off, you click on Control-C to turn it off, and then you can go on npm run dev, and this will run your app on the local host, which is needed to test here on Webflow. So if we refresh now, we can see our app is there. We have a list of layouts, which is great. We can choose the layout that we need. There is nothing changes when we choose here. It just gives you a tip, the element in the canvas, insert, all client use. Okay, so let's try it out. Let's add a section here. So let's add hero, insert layout. There is an error, invalid element preset only. What we can do now is take a screenshot of this and go back to cursor, bring in the screenshot. I get an error. Now I wanted to follow the docs and I want to make sure that it knows which settings to use when it parses in elements. So I'm gonna go to the designer extension documentation and I'm gonna go through, let's say, element. And what I want is I wanted to know how to insert elements. So I'm gonna copy this page. Now when I copy pages from the documentation, I like to add .md at the end. This is also a tip that is provided by Webflow. So if you add .md at the end and if you go to this link, you can see it's a markdown version of the documentation page. So this is much easier for the LLM to read. So we're gonna give it this link as an MD. And then I want to also give it the element presets. So it needs to know that there are element presets by Webflow. So it doesn't just apply anything. Okay, so let's try this prompt and let's see if it helps us now build those divs. So as you can see, we can also always use console log to console or to debug on our app. You can also use MCP console. So there's, I think Browser Tools has an MCP, can provide that, we'll look for it. However, always try to debug to try to understand that whatever is going on here is a Webflow app, so it's different from a normal React app or an application that you would use elsewhere. And you need to also make sure that your LLM or your AI understands that. Every time you prompt, you need to make sure you're precise in your ask and not just asking for any app. You're asking for a Webflow app, you're asking for Webflow settings. Now I need to fill this gap with something to say, but I have nothing more to say, so I'm gonna fast forward again. We'll come back when this prompt finishes. Okay, so prompt 2 completed. Let's see what it did here. So it eliminated the invalid element preset, it maintains semantics, preserves all functionality, follows Webflow recommended patterns. All right, so let's do this again. So I kept all the changes. And now I'm gonna close the server. So if I go to terminal, close the server, and then I'm gonna npm run dev again. And let's see what it did this time. Let's go back to our app. So it's running. Let's refresh. Okay, so let's insert the layout. I still get the error. So let's close this app. Maybe needs to reset. So let's open it again. Insert. I still get this error. We're gonna try again. Let's see how many prompts it's going to take for us to complete this app. I'm going to try one more time after hard refreshing the page. If I add a layout here, I still get this error. So let's take a screenshot again and go back to cursor. All right, let's try the second prompt. So I've prompted that it needs to revise the way in which it's parsing the elements because I think it's using the wrong way. And then it needs to see that we need to set the element, we need to give it the classes, the properties, and put it the right way in the canvas. So this is prompt number 3. Let's see what it did this time. So it again eliminated the invalid element preset, used Webflow's patterns. Let's check it this time. So let's again close the server and then open the server again. Okay, and run dev. It's running. So let's go back to our app. Let's refresh and let's try again. So let's select an element and let's say hero. And now it's inserting. Okay, now it's working. I'm getting something, which is great. So I got a section. I got a container large. That's client first. Max width medium, client first. Heading style h2. This is all client first. However, I don't know why it's named here differently. But maybe if I refresh the page, this might work out. So let's see, it's still named weirdly. And that's probably because the way it's parsing is, again, not correct, which is not what we want anyways. I don't want it to use this DOM element type. I wanted to use the Webflow element presets. So let's go back to this page. So I'm going to take this page again. I'm gonna give it the MD, and then I'm gonna go back to cursor, and then we'll do prompt number 4. We're getting closer though. I think 2-3 more prompts, we can get this thing going. Let's try prompt number 4. Alright, so prompt number 4 is that I wanted to use the preset elements. I don't want to use this DOM element, so I gave it the preset elements and I was like, okay, you can use div blocks. And then I told it to refactor and clean up the code to remove whatever we don't use or that doesn't follow Webflow's recommended patterns. So let's give it prompt number 4. Let's see what it gives us. I'm absolutely right. So I hate the fact that it always goes like this. You're absolutely right. Oh, that's amazing, observant. Oh, what a great question. And yeah, it's a bit annoying. However, let's hope it solves the problem. Okay, so it's updating and cleaning up the code. So I always like to clean up the code or refactor every once in a while just to make sure that we don't go overboard. I like to make sure that we don't leave anything that we don't use. Sometimes the AI will write some stuff that we might not use or might not be using anymore. So always ask it to go and revise and remove whatever it deleted or whatever it stopped using. Now this doesn't always work great. You might have to do this manually a few times, but you can always start by asking the AI so that you can have a head start. And let's see how things are going here. Okay, so I think it's done. So let's turn off the server and turn it on again. Let's go back to our app. Let's see what we did this time. So let's remove this section and let's add a hero here. Okay, so now we're using div blocks, which is great. They're getting the right classes, which is great. I'm still getting this margin button medium. Why am I getting that? And I think this is a combo class and it's not parsing the combo class correctly. So it's using heading style h2. It's using margin bottom. And I know that because I've run into this issue before. So if we inspect this, so if I inspect this here, you see that the h1, and so you can see it has 2 classes. It has heading style h2 and margin bottom medium. Now, I'm not sure why this doesn't work in Webflow or it doesn't show here. However, we can see that it's somewhat there. Now we can keep prompting to iterate on this and make sure that this works out, but I just want to check the rest of the layout. So feature grid, if we insert this, oh wow, like it's doing the whole thing. That's actually quite nice. Not bad. Not bad at all. And then we can try CTA. Now it's not really using client first because it's giving section the padding and everything. There's no padding large and padding medium. But again, this is something we can keep iterating with the AI on and make sure that it gives us. All right, so now let's make sure that it follows client first structure. So we can go to client first. You can go to the client first page. And if you go to the docs and go core structure strategy, we can copy this. I'm just going to screenshot this and copy the link to the page. I'm going to go put in my 5th prompt. Alright, so prompt number 5, we are focusing on making sure that it knows client first. So refer to client first to make sure that we follow the structure. Let's just give it the structure. So section is going to be section, padding global, container large, and here where you might have vertical padding, right? Yeah, so section, padding global, container, section, padding global, container large, and then padding vertical. Actually, let's just get to that. I just want to know what it was called. Yeah, so it's called padding section large, and it goes inside a container, or it goes together as a combo class with the padding global, which is great. Padding section large. So the sections will not have any paddings or margins itself. This is what we need also. And yeah, we can go with this prompt. Let's see prompt number 5. Let's see how this goes. Thank you for watching. Again, this video is split into 2 parts. So there is the second part that will be uploaded next. So stay tuned on that. See you in the next one.